Before the webinar starts with the three speakers, first we shall know what is the style. So what is the style? It is also known as neoplasticism. It refers to the painting style and ideas developed by Piet Mondrian in 1917. It is promoted by the style. It is denoting the new plastic art or simply new art. The term embodies Mondrian's vision of an ideal abstract art form he felt was suited to the modern era. Mondrian described neoplasticism as a reproductive approach to art making that stripped away traditional elements of art, such as perspective and representation, utilizing only a series of primary colors in straight lines. Mondrian envisioned that the principles of neoplasticism would be transplanted from the medium of painting to other art forms, including architecture and design, providing the basis of the transformation of the human environment sought by the style artist. In Mondrian's word, a pure plastic vision should build a new society, in the same way that in art it has built a new plasticism. The concept of neoplasticism was largely inspired by M.H.J. Schoenmaker's The Principles of Plastic Mathematics, which proposed that reality is composed of a series of opposing forces, among them the formal polarity of horizontal and vertical axes and the juxtaposition of primary colors. So, who founded this style? In 1917, two pioneering Dutch abstract artists, Piet Mondrian and Theo van Doesburg, founded this style. It is originally a publication, the Stijl, which means style in Dutch, was a magazine in which the artists promoted their ideas on art and abstraction. The style soon became a full-fledged movement which advocated a visual language consisting of precise geometric forms, primarily straight lines, squares and rectangles, and primary colors. Piet Mondrian came up with the term the new building, which became known internationally as neoplasticism. So now, let me introduce to you the speaker who will talk about the characteristics of the style art and artworks and artists of the style, Roniel Villasencia.
Good day, I'm Roniel Villasencia, and for today's discussion, let's talk about the four characteristics of the style art. What are the four characteristics of the style art? Number 1, using straight lines. The style art features clean, straight, vertical, and horizontal lines that intersect to form right angles. These right angles will form shapes such as a square, rectangle, and these square and rectangle will make or design to make this art or this type of art that characterize this style art. And with mostly of this type of art, you will see shapes or geometric shapes such as square, rectangles, and having shapes that has an angles. Number 2, primary colors. The style art using primary colors, such as what are the primary colors? Such as red, yellow, and blue. And note that they are also using black and white. And also remember that this color or this characteristic of the style art, the color will not mix or blend with each other, and the straight line typically divide the color. So the colors of these will never mix or blend, such as like primary colors that will make them neat and clean. Number 3, thick strokes. The straight line and the style art are typically black lines and thick strokes, the division between colors and boxes. So these black colors will divide or became the division, or this one will divide the colors to avoid them touching or mix with each other. Number 4, using geometric forms such as square and rectangle. And what are the other forms of geometric forms or other form of shapes or geometric forms like circles, cones, cubes, spheres, but mostly In this type of art, we can see rectangles, squares, and also this art is influenced the painting, decorative arts such as a furniture designs, and also it also influenced in architecture. Building boxes in various compartments exemplify this art movement. So these are the four characteristics of the style art. Next slide, we'll see the artist of the style art. Arts works and artist of the style art. Number 1. In 1920, titled Composition A by Piet Mondrian. So as you can see that these are squares, rectangles, and have a variety of there's a variety of colors. There's blue, red, yellow, and there's also white and black. As you can see that in our second characteristic and third characteristics, that their geometric shapes, the colors, and also the lines that divides the colors to avoid mix or blending with each other. Number 2, in 1922, titled Mecano Dancer by Velmos Hozar. As you can see that this color is color brown, right? So if you add the three primary colors or the primary colors, which is the red, blue, and yellow, it will make a color brown. So it also a part of this a secondary color. So this is a characteristic of the style art. As you can see that there's a shape, there's a cube, there's a square, there's a sphere or a circle, and mostly it is a more modern type of art. Next one, a chair. As I've discussed earlier, that is influenced in a decorative arts like furniture design. This is like this chair. This is a furniture design titled Red and Blue Chair by Gareth Redfield. This one in 1924, Counter Composition 5 by Theo van Disburg. So as you can see that this art is typically simple, like this a shape, a square, the colors, the red, black, yellow, and white. That is typically describes or depicts the characteristic of the style art. This one, as you can see, there is a house. Since this style art is influenced by architecture or architectural design, so as you can see a house, the shapes, the square, the rectangles. This is in 1924, Redfield Schroeder House by Gareth Redfield. Next and our last example in 1929 to 30, Arithmetic Composition by Theo van Disburg. As you can see, there's a square, a geometric form which is square. There's an arithmetic or a sequence of squares that comprises in this type of art. So as you have noticed in this type of art, you've noticed the cleanliness or the simple or the cleanliness, neatness of the art, and it also depicts the modernity or the modernization of art. That's all about the characteristics of the style art. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Renel. Because of you, me, and a lot of the listeners here in the webinar has learned a lot.
Hey, I am Don Cristi Becerra, and I am going to share to you facts about this style. Are you ready? Here we go. Like many other avant-garde art movements at that time, This style was a reaction against the horrors of World War I. It was utopian in nature in the sense that the members of this style believed art to have a transformative power. For them, art was a means towards social and spiritual redemption. The style art was seen as a universal visual language which fit with what its artists wanted for the modern era, a new spiritualized world order. The visual language of the style artists consists of geometric forms which were precisely rendered. They were searching for the laws governing the harmony of the world and wanted to reveal them through their art, their lines, squares, and rectangles in primary colors. The artists of this style worked in a wide range of media across the fine and applied arts. They aimed for an ideal fusion of form and function, therefore not only focusing on painting and sculptures, but extending their artistic vision to all other art forms including literature, music, typography, and industrial design.
And now, as we move on to the next speaker, he will be talking about the 5 famous STIJL artworks. Everyone, here is Adrian Leslie Pahapay.
5 famous STIJL artwork. Number 1. Red and Blue Chair by Jarrett Ritfield 1917. Jarrett Ritfield Red and Blue Chair features a square set and rectangular back, legs, and handles that reflect the geometric form of this STIJL red and blue chair is permanently housed at the Museum of Modern Art MoMA in New York and is one of the art movement's first 3-dimensional pieces. Number 2. Rietveld Schroeder House by Gerrit Rietveld 1924. Rietveld also made a name for himself as an architect, designing the Rietveld Schroeder House in Utrecht, Holland for a Dutch socialite as her 3 children. It was commissioned to be a home without walls, and the open space features right angles created by horizontal and vertical lines as well as a primary color characteristic of this style. Number 3. Composition with yellow, blue, and red by Pate Mondrian. See 1937-1942. Pate Mondrian's composition with yellow, blue, and red exemplifies the movement's primary colors and geometric shape. The seminal piece is part of the Tate Moderns collection in London. Number 4. 1928 Summer Olympics Stadium by John Wills 1928. Dutch architect John Wills was founding a member of the STIJL movement is most noted by designing the Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam's 1928 Summer Olympics. For that seminal works, Wills won a gold medal in the Olympic art competition. Number 5. Composition number 15 by Frederick Burdenberg's Gildewurst 1925. German artist Frederick Burdenberg's Gildewurst led a cosmopolitan career and belonged to the artistic group in different nations, most notably in Paris, while maintaining a steadfast commitment to abstract art. In composition number 15, which is currently housed at the Tate Modern in London, Burdenberg's Gildewurst exuded many of these styles defining characteristics, strength, lines, quadrilateral, and the use of simple colors. However, Burdenberg's Gildewurst worked in more playful than other these styles painting. He includes a circle in composition and the color used are ended primary ones but are blended with other hues to make the color less saturated.
So thank you for that, Adrian. We can see from the artworks that he presented that this style is really an interesting art. And now, we have Don Chrisley Becerra as he will talk about the different trivias about this style. Take the stage.
Guess who's back? I am Don Chrisley Becerra and I am once again gonna share to you another fact about this style. So, did you know that there was a disagreement between Mondrian and von Doesburg? Mondrian famously withdrew from the style in 1923, outraged at von Doesburg's adoption of diagonal movement elements in his work. Von Doesburg wanted to add more variety, movement, and energy to the movement and had therefore developed elementarism, with which he attempted to modify his dogmatic nature of Mondrian's neoplasticism by introducing the diagonal. Mondrian refused to accept this break with purity and precision, deeming it artistic heresy on van Doesburg's part. Mondrian continued in his way, separated from the style, finally ending up in New York in 1940. Van Doesburg continued the publication until his death in 1931. Good afternoon. I am going to share to you the significance of this style art. It was utopian in nature, in the sense that the members of this style believed art to have a transformative power. Architects working in the international style were also influenced by this style. The movement also inspired typography and decorative arts, including furniture design.
And that is all for the webinar talking about this style. I hope and we hope that you learned a lot. And see you to the next webinar.